What are COVID-19 variants and why should you care? A question that may have crossed your mind more than once. Well, let's break it down. COVID-19 variants are versions of the virus that have undergone changes or mutations. Imagine a piece of music being covered by different bands. The tune is the same, but each band adds its own unique style and flavor to the song. That's what happens with these variants. The COVID-19 virus changes slightly each time it reproduces, creating new variants. Why should this matter to you? Simply put, some variants may potentially be more contagious, cause more severe illness, or even have the ability to evade our immune response. Understanding these variants is crucial for everyone, as it helps us to stay one step ahead in the fight against this pandemic. Now that we've established what COVID-19 variants are, let's delve into how they come into existence. Ever wondered how these variants come into existence? Well, let's dive into the fascinating world of viruses to find out. Viruses, like any other living organism, aim to survive and reproduce, and they do this by infecting host cells. They literally hijack the host cell's machinery to replicate, producing thousands of copies of themselves. Now, this replication process is not perfect. It's kind of like a high-speed assembly line where there's no time for quality control. As the virus copies its genetic material, it can make mistakes or mutations. These mutations are like typos in the virus's genetic blueprint. Just imagine you're typing a long email and you're in a rush. Chances are you'll make a couple of mistakes. And while your email software might catch some of them, others might slip through the cracks. That's exactly what happens when viruses replicate. Most of these mutations are harmless, and some can even weaken the virus. But occasionally, a mutation occurs that gives the virus an advantage, such as making it more contagious, more resistant to the body's immune response, or even more deadly. When this happens, this mutated version of the virus can outcompete the original strain, spreading more widely and becoming the dominant variant. This process of mutation and selection is absolutely normal in the world of viruses. It's a part of their life cycle, just as changing seasons are a part of ours. But it's also why we see different variants of the same virus emerge over time. But here's the thing, the more a virus spreads, the more opportunities it has to mutate. And the more it mutates, the higher the chance that a beneficial mutation will occur. That's why it's so important to control the spread of the virus, to limit its chances to mutate and form new variants. So now we understand how these variants are formed, but how do they impact us? How do these COVID-19 variants affect our health differently? Now that's a question that's been on everyone's mind. Each variant of the virus has its unique set of characteristics. These differences can impact how the virus behaves when it enters the human body. Let's take a closer look at some of these factors. Firstly, we have transmissibility. Some variants are more transmissible than others, which means they can spread more easily from person to person. For instance, a variant might carry a mutation that allows it to latch onto cells more effectively, making it more contagious. This increased transmissibility can lead to more cases, and potentially, more hospitalizations and deaths. Secondly, the severity of the disease can also vary. Some variants might cause milder symptoms, while others could lead to more severe disease. It's important to note that a variant causing milder symptoms doesn't mean it's less dangerous. If it's highly transmissible, it could still lead to a significant number of severe cases, simply because it infects more people. Finally, there is the potential for reinfection. Some variants might have mutations that allow them to evade the immune response, which means people who have already had COVID-19 could be reinfected. This is a major concern as it could potentially undermine herd immunity and prolong the pandemic. However, it's important to remember that while these factors can influence the impact of a variant, they are not the only determinants. Other elements such as public health measures, individual behavior, and vaccination rates also play a crucial role in determining the overall impact of a variant. In conclusion, variants can have different impacts on human health due to differences in their transmissibility, the severity of the disease they cause, and their potential for reinfection. These factors can influence the spread and severity of the pandemic, and they underscore the importance of ongoing surveillance and research. We've seen how these variants can affect us, but there's one more crucial question. How do they affect our vaccines? Do our current vaccines work against these variants? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? To answer this, let's first understand how vaccines are designed. Vaccines are essentially a blueprint of the virus, instructing our immune system on what to look out for and how to combat it. Now, when a variant enters the picture, it's a bit like the virus has put on a new coat. It's still the same virus underneath, but it looks a bit different on the outside. Our immune system, trained by the vaccine, might take a little longer to recognize this new coat, but it's not completely fooled. Most of our current vaccines have shown to be effective against the known variants, but their effectiveness can slightly decrease. It's like having a key that still fits the lock, but might need a bit of a jiggle. So yes, our vaccines are still our best bet in this fight. As we can see, understanding COVID-19 variants is crucial in our fight against the virus. So what's the bottom line here? Well, the journey we've embarked on today has brought us to understand the nature of COVID-19 variants, how they come into existence, their impact, and the role of vaccines in combating them. The ever-evolving nature of this virus underscores the importance of staying abreast with the latest information. Variants, though a natural part of any virus's life cycle, can pose new challenges. They can impact the severity of the disease, the efficacy of treatments, and even the effectiveness of existing vaccines. However, the silver lining lies in our arsenal of vaccines, which are being constantly updated and adapted to tackle these variants. The fight against COVID-19 is a shared responsibility. By arming ourselves with knowledge, we can make informed decisions that protect not just ourselves but our communities too. And that wraps up our discussion on COVID-19 variants. Remember, knowledge is power and staying informed is key to staying safe.